Today we're going to be talking, hearing from the students for the Herb Stout Student Awards. And first up is going to be Kimberly O'Neill with GIS Enhances Guilford County's Street Level Photo Project and Improves Productivity. We're going to give you about 20 minutes with a little bit of time for questions at the end. So if you just follow along, we'll go ahead and get started.
So, good afternoon, and I'm Kimberly O'Neill. I'm a student in my fourth year of school at UNCG in Greensboro, and I've been interning with Guilford County since March of 2016. And in this presentation, I'm going to walk you through the steps of our street level photography project for the tax department and how GIS, since it's been incorporated into that project, has improved its productivity. And I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsors for the event, CGIA and Carolina Urban and Regional Information Systems Association. And I also want to take this time to thank my colleagues and coworkers for their wisdom and guidance. Here is a picture of Guilford County with all of its parcels in orange. And just to introduce the topic of tax appraisals and reappraisals, if you own a home and you pay taxes, you probably are familiar with this, but if you rent like me, you know nothing about it. So each property will be assessed in a reappraisal to make sure that it matches market value. And all taxable property, whether personal, public, or whatever it may be, is taxed so that revenue is generated to provide the services that we enjoy. And it's done every 5 years in Guilford County and every 8 years in the state of North Carolina, or it's required to. And this is so that these values remain equal and fair. And so to assist with the reappraisal process, this photo project was started, and that is to make it easier for tax appraisers to assess the values from the office instead of having to go out to each neighborhood and assess the values. And so the problem with that at first was that they would go out and take pictures, but they couldn't process the images as quickly as they wanted to. And since that problem arose, and any cost or any outside contractors would cost too much. It was estimated about $3 an image, and that's maybe not even geolocating them. So they turned to the GIS department at that point to find a solution. And with the GIS department, we incorporated certain GIS tools like ArcPad, and we downloaded a ArcPhoto toolset off the website and also used the model builder and Python scripts to process images and automate certain aspects of the process that were slowing the project down. To begin with, in 2009, when the project started, way before I was interning, they used a Trimble handheld device connected to a mobile PC Toughbook, Panasonic Toughbook. But in 2016, when I started, we started using this Windows 8 Surface tablet with a wireless connection to a Verizon Jetpack hotspot. And that allows the GPS capabilities that the Trimble gave to the PC. But with those GPS functionality turned on the Jetpack, we were able to use the tablet and draw points and get their coordinates when we're out in the field. And my coworkers like to tease me about my bike helmet, that I can add it for extra safety, but we also have a flashing car light, so that's not enough. I can always wear my helmet. Just a general workflow for the project. It starts with the field photo collection, and the end product is just the geolocated images with the ARC tools that we use. And this is the first step, just going out in the field and collecting images. It requires 2 people for the photo team, as we say, and the driver will, once we get to the neighborhood, will take the images, and once we're at a slow speed and going down the street, we'll stop at each house, take a photo, and the passenger with the tablet will drop a point on that parcel. And in the next slide, I'll show you kind of what that looks like, but it's a pretty busy screen to look at. So what you're looking at in the pink, outlined in pink, are parcels that we don't have an image for. In orange, we do have a file for, and then all the red dots are photos taken in that day. On the next slide, there's a short demo for this process of dropping a point and registering the image. So it's a little different symbology, but this video was taken with a software called Mobi Control that allows you to remote to a mobile device from a desktop, and we took this video. So that dialog box allows you to register the image, and once you put in the first image number, it'll automatically populate that box for the next one that you drop, and it'll show you right there that it just put the 2 at the end and it's already populated, so you just have to click register. And that saves a lot of time and also the potential for human error. So instead of typing in each image number, it's already there for you. You just have to be mindful that if someone accidentally takes a picture of their lap or something, which actually happens a lot, you have to change the image number so that it's not out of sync. And in the photo team, teamwork is very important because it's very easy to get out of sync and have, this image of house 213 connected to the parcel for 215 or something when the traffic gets bad or whatever the case may be. And more about this dialogue that comes up, it's Arc Script, and it's one of the tools from the Arc Photo tool set. And when it registers, it also copies the file path for the image name into the attribute table. And this is what it looks like zoomed out a little bit. So in red is our pictures taken that day, and in green are pictures that we've gotten in the past, and all the pink is yet to be taken. And then once the fun is over, we go back to the office and we copy the images to the local network. And we run a Python script that will create folders for the images based on the date they were taken. And it does this by searching the data on the images, which is called the EXIF file, which stands for Exchangeable Image File Format, I think. And it includes a ton of information, photography related, so it'll tell you if the flash was used, what f-stop, and all sorts of information, the camera make and model, but the script is only interested in the date it was taken, and it will take that and create folders and place the images in the folder according to its date. The next step is to bring the map files from ArcPad to ArcGIS. And we do this with a model that was built with Model Builder, and that Model Builder allows you to just string different actions and tools together to streamline a series of processes that would have taken more time if done manually. And I break it up into sections so that we can actually see what goes on. As you can tell, it was a pretty long one. So the first part of it is just bringing the point files into a file geodatabase and a feature class. And from there, in the blue box is what we were just looking at. So from there, it needs to be projected because the Arc Photo toolset prefers to work with Latin long. So it'll take the points which were recorded in North Carolina State Plain and project it to Latin long. And from there, it'll use the calculate field tool to populate the X and Y coordinates. And what this model builder is aiming to do is create a text file. So at this stage of the model, after it calculates or not calculates, but it populates the file path for the image into a field. Then the table or the text file is complete, so it has the file path, the X and Y coordinates, and that's what will be loaded into the Geolocate tool in the next step. So this is an example of what the text file will look like. And the fields are separated by semicolons, if you can see. So the first long part is the file path, and then the last two are the coordinates. And we use a UNC path, which is Universal Naming Convention, so that it can be run on any computer, and what's the G drive on this computer may not be what the G drive is on another, so that allows you to do it on my machine or my coworkers. And then once we have that text file, and we've manipulated a little bit in a text editor, taken out some of the characters that it doesn't like, you can load it into the batch Geolocate tool, which is included in the ARC photo toolbox that we downloaded from Esri. And after that runs, you'll have geotagged images, and we'll bring it into the photo container, as it's called, on the left there. And if you click on one of those photos, it'll bring you to that house and give you that little symbol in red above it, and it's just confirming that it's been geotagged. And we usually do this just to assure that the process was successful. And it's just uh-oh. I think I kicked something. Tap something down here. Technical difficulties never fail. Huh?
This is what happens when you get an amateur moderator.
Yeah.
I don't think this has to do with your gear. I think it has to do with this.
Maybe
thing
the
right here.
projector.
Keep talking,
Okay, yeah.
and I'll try to find somebody to help.
All right. So once we've assured that the photos are geotagged, the last part of the model that I didn't include before is just putting out a table to help with the renaming process. So once we have all the images, they just have the assigned image number, which could be 0012 or whatever, but it's not a unique ID. And when we're out taking images, it'll go from 001 to 9,999. And once we pass that number, it'll start to over at the beginning. And to ensure that we're not overwriting images, we'll rename them by their parcel ID. And so the identity tool at the last part of the model, essentially it will take all of the attributes of the parcel that the point lays on and transfer it to the point attribute table, because when we drop the points, they only contain the coordinates and the image name. So when this point assumes all the attributes of the parcel, then we can then the script outside after the identity tool finishes will take that file name and replace it with the parcel ID number. And then where your images are stored on the desktop will have a parcel ID number instead of their image number. And the script also writes a letter in front of the sequence of numbers. And some issues remaining with the project are just that in rural areas, which there are a lot of in Guilford County, a lot of times you can't see the house from the road, and we don't want to infringe on people's privacy, so that's an issue that we just solve with using aerial photography and pictometry. And another thing is busy streets. It's just too dangerous to be starting and stopping even with our flashing light. In conclusion, the equipment and expertise of the GIS department was very, very helpful in this project and increased the productivity. And since 2009, we've collected 80,000 images, and since I've started, I've collected around 15,000 and saved the county around $46,000 if we're using that $3 per image estimate. And if you have any questions, I can take them now. Yes?
Could you repeat the question?
So the question was, for busy areas, is it possible to use a bicycle? I've heard that if it's just a busy area and we know it, they'll go out, the tax appraiser will go out on their own time, or not their own time, but not with me, and just walk it and walk up to the houses. And sometimes I've run into that where it's just a tight parking lot and we're taking pictures of townhouses, and they'll go out and walk the block. Any other questions? All the time. And we just explain what we're doing, and sometimes they're really very kind about it and they just were curious. Other times, nothing you can say will make them accept your answer. Anything else? And the last thing I wanted to say was that the internship I'm with right now has been running since 1994. And in that time has had over 80 students from UNCG and A&T, another university in the area, and 2 other students in the audience. I would highly recommend getting involved in that way, and the experience that this has given me is very valuable, and it gives me the tools and experience to carry me out into the future. Thank you.